Tottenham Hotspur absolutely massacred Aston Villa at Villa Park yesterday, where it was Aston Villa 0, Tottenham Hotspur 4. What a great performance. Let's get the reaction show on the road. Hello and welcome to PRTVSPURS Paxton Road TV, all Tottenham Hotspur related content, and joining me this evening to do the reaction show, and I'm sure they're as happy as I was yesterday and today, is Sam Spurs for Life and Darius 3K. Good evening, gentlemen. I'm not even going to ask you how you're feeling, yeah? I just want to know, how ecstatic was you yesterday when that final whistle went?
Oh, mate, honestly, I was very, very happy. I can't lie to you. It's because the expectation was not a 4-0 away clean sheet. So I was absolutely buzzing, and I was working as well, and I watched the game. And also we've now created not one, but two enemies at Villa Park. That is John McGinn and Matty Cash. So I'm going to hide that and say, you know what that means to Villa. And yeah, we're getting closer. So yeah, on to the next one, I guess, which is Fulham, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. Fulham away
yeah,
on
very
Saturday.
happy.
Absolutely. Sam, we said no cash payments, contactless, but unfortunately, contactless wasn't contactless because McGinn got sent off. At the end of the day, we were the flexible friends and we accepted they accepted everything and anything. And that was goals. How was you feeling yesterday, my man?
Yeah, as we talked about in the preview show, I thought it was going to be a tough game. I thought it was going to be a bit tougher than that. I did actually say that because obviously Newcastle, Aston Villa played midweek, that we should have the advantage even though it was away. But I did predict a draw. First half, that's what it looked like. But obviously, the result was all the important, and to get away with a 4-0 victory at Villa Park, I think is a really good at this stage of the season now.
Yeah, and considering Villa's form at home as well, and everybody obviously said it's going to be a tough game for Spurs. They're going to Villa Park. I wish I could have muted that game yesterday because that commentary was so biased, and I just, you know what, they just need to get a grip on this now because it's just an agenda. Well, it's not even an agenda. These commentators, these are so crap, and when Spurs are playing, it's like, let's not say anything decent about Spurs. Saw's pass, we'll discuss all that anyway. But if you're joining us for the first time, or if you're already joining us, whatever platform on social media, make sure you subscribe to PRTV Spurs, Paxton Road TV. Let's have your comments as well in the section, because you know what? We do this week in, week out. When we're not playing well, when we've had a bad result, everyone's on here having their say. We've now absolutely annihilated Aston Villa yesterday, and I'm not seeing any comments. So let's get your comments in. Let's have your thoughts. What did you think of the game? Who was your man of the match? What did you think of the sending off? Van der Ven's injury, everything and anything. Let's discuss it. So, guys, we went into it yesterday when we was on about Sam. Darius, you was on the preview, weren't you, Darius?
I did talking points.
Yeah, talking points. We was saying, weren't we, about how difficult the game was going to be and how it was going to, which way was it going to go? I said it was going to be in the midfield, won or loss. And then we also said it's going to be about who gets them chances and who puts them away. And I'm just going to say, for once, I was actually happy that we didn't try and do a Barcelona and tippy-tap it into the back of the net. All right, we didn't get the chances, but it looked like this Spurs from the beginning of the season when everybody was fit and raring to go. What did you make of it, Sam?
First half, I was a little. No, okay. Again, we talked about tactical managers. Unai Emery clearly had a different tactic in this game. I thought they were going to be more aggressive in the first half in terms of their approach to the game. They were kind of in between. They played a back five, which again I was surprised at them playing a back five. It was a 5-4-1 at times, and it was mostly a back five. It wasn't like they were playing three and then having their wing backs really bombing on. So I was quite surprised by their approach, but then again, I add to the fact that they played midweek. They had a couple of injuries maybe, and they just didn't look like they were quite 100% on it. In contrast to that, we started very well, and it was just a pity that we couldn't get that first goal in the first half. But again, I think we were always in control of that game. It could have been obviously a little bit tighter depending on what happened and if they'd have scored at any point when we were 2-0 up. But 4-0, have that all day long.
Yeah, what did you make of it, Darius?
I think that at the end of the day, when you manage to keep the majority of possession, you're always going to dominate. And I think what I love about us under Ange, we can hold the ball and we can, keep the ball knocking around. We are patient. Sometimes I think we're maybe a little bit too patient and we aren't direct enough once we get to those positions. But when we control so much of the ball, I don't have much fear that frustration comes from us not finishing the chances or not creating enough clear-cut chances given the amount of possession we had. So I always had the confidence, like Sam said, once I saw the way that Villa were going to play, that we were going to eventually score. And if you notice, both sort of pairs of goals came within sort of 2-3 minutes of themselves. So I think that we are very, good at sort of capitalizing on taking advantage and taking the lead, because it seems like when the teams, and especially like a team like Aston Villa, when they're going to come out at home and try and get an equalizer quickly, we can sort of punish teams on a counter-attack very, very smoothly because we do move the ball around very quickly. And you can see that, I guess, with the, was it Sar's, not Sar, Maddison's was the first goal.
Yeah.
We transitioned very well. Kulusevski, who had a great game, sort of won the ball back 1-2 with Maddison, I believe it was, and then got the ball out to Sar, who put in a great ball, like you said, Sid. And yeah, it's just seeing that sort of how we develop our attacks is good, but I do want to see more of it, and I do want to see us be a bit more clinical. The finishing today was very, very good. It was every goal that we scored, it was top corner, in the corner, and I was happy to see that. So if we can continue that, sort of form of finishing, then I don't see how we can't capitalize on the amount of possession that we keep in a game.
I'm going to put the stats up in a minute, right? Now, we're playing against a team who are fourth, who've got a very good record at home. They've just played in the Europa League, or the other one. And do you think Unai Emery was a little bit too safe, or was he a little bit cocky and saying, you know what, they've never played five at the back all season, and out of all the games, they've decided to play with five at the back against Spurs? Do you think that the moment he changed that formation and tweaked it to five at the back was their doing? Because if we look at the stats, right, Villa are supposed to be very, very good on the attack and whatever, but if we look at the first half, right, we had 70% possession. They had 5 shots. All right, we didn't have any shots. They had none on target. Well, obviously, we didn't have any target. They had 2 off target, 4 inside the box. We had 1. 1 outside the box. We had none. 137 passes in the first half at home. We had 291 passes, 90% away from home. And touches in the opposite box. They had 14. We had 10. Sam, that lineup that he put out with 5 at the back, did that dictate the game then? Was that in Tottenham's favour, or did he make a massive error trying to do what he tried to do?
No, because if if you look at the stats, there's obviously pros and cons for both. If you look at the stats, you would say that they've done a defensively good performance. We didn't get any shots on. That was my issue in the first half. We didn't get any shots. Not on target, not on target, nothing. No shots. We controlled the game in terms of possession, but they had a clear transitional gameplay. Now, the problem they had is if you play 5 at the back, you really have to get your wing backs forward as much as you can. That's the whole idea. They didn't seem to, even though they got 5 shots, they didn't get their wing backs high enough, and they also didn't get potentially one of their centre backs going into that midfield. So they weren't very aggressive in their 5 at the back. Hence the reason why we had the control possession wise, but defensively they were solid. My problem with us is
sorry, Sam. Go ahead, continue.
I was just going to say what we've got to do in that defensive setup that they had, they were pressing at times, at more time often than not. Once we got into that final third, and they were saying about we pressured them in the final third, something like 15-0 in the first 30 minutes because we were aggressive. They weren't aggressive. Had we had our shooting boots on, had we had any boots on at all, we should have had a goal in that first half. So again, their plan probably worked from that perspective, but they weren't aggressive enough with it.
And the other thing as well, talking of that, I'll let you come in, Darius, because I want your say on this. If you look at the first 15-20 minutes, in fact, if you look at the first half, and I'm talking from the moment the kickoff, did you see the pressing that Maddison, Kulu, Son was doing? Villa did not have a clue what to do. I don't think they were expecting Spurs to come at them like they did, the way they did. And when Son went forward, Maddison went forward, Saul went forward, Kulu went, all of them went, right? And they started long ball. And I'm thinking, what are these lot doing? They're playing at home. And all they could do was the long ball. And against Van der Ven, are you lot mad? Because he just swept it up. So I think as much as he changed it to 5 at the back, Postecoglou and the Spurs players, you've got to applaud them with the way. I mean, I've never seen them do that from the offset and continue it for 45 minutes. What did you think of that one, Darius?
I think I would not want to see these stats if I was a Spurs fan. Well,
no.
Me personally, I think this looks horrible for us.
It does.
Because you just question and you wonder what the hell were you doing for 45 minutes to not even be able to get a shot off with 70% possession. That, to me, that's shocking. And the fact that they also had more shots, 10% of their touches, or 10% of their touches in the opposition box, sort of, if you want to count touches and passes, the same thing, were in the box out of the majority of passes they did the entire half. Like a team with 30% possession should have more touches in your box. That to me is crazy. And it shows that we have a lot of strength in one area of our game, which is keeping the ball, but we need to be more penetrative when we have the ball and take more risks. I think if you look at it, we can win the ball back, and then it's like what no one wants to pull the trigger, no one wants to take that risk. So
we don't shoot from outside the box. We just don't.
That's another, and we've got players who can do that. I mean, we've got 2 of the best long range shooters in our team in Son and Maddison. Sar's got a good shot on him. Seen him score a couple bangers for Mets when he was there. Bissouma probably wouldn't give him a few opportunities, but you know, players, and he's scored a banger or 2 of Bissouma in his time for Brighton. But our players have got. I mean, Pedro Porro scored a wonderful goal from outside the box. So there's history of our players being able to shoot from outside the box. I don't get why we don't. I think that's obviously part of the coaching. I think Ange Postecoglou likes more guarantees on opportunities. In terms of, when I say that, I mean a ball put across the box. If you look at the goals we scored, the chances of them going in as opposed to a long range shot is much higher. And you probably want to be able to create those opportunities more than rely on shooting from range. But saying that, we've got players who can score long range goals. So I don't really think there's any excuse. I think it's pretty poor, to be honest. Beyond poor, I think it's horror, to be honest, to have 0 shots and keep the ball for 70% of the half. It's pretty insane to me, to be honest.
I just had a quick thing to that. If they had scored 1, maybe even 2 goals in that first half, and we had that same stats, it would have been an absolute horror show. Worst
half in the whole season. Would you not say?
It would have been, in my opinion, because although we had a lot of the ball, because of the system that they played, it was basically a 5-4-1. So they played very direct in order for their midfielders, potentially even their fullbacks, which they didn't do enough of, getting them forward. So That's why they got them touches in the opposition box, because if you play direct and you can get into the final third quicker, that's where they did. If they'd have managed to get a goal or even 2 goals, maybe we'd have to change our approach to the play. But 0 shots, 0 off target, 0 and 291 passes. Come on, man. That's not a good.
And you know what? I think that's what makes me think that Emery set up deliberately in that way. He may have overthought this game, and
he did,
in my opinion, but he definitely saw Spurs are a dilly-dally team and don't really take opportunities. So he said, you know what? If you're not going to try walk the ball into the goal, I'll put 5 people in the box and try come 100%. At me. And you know what? If he had got a 1-0, even if it was at home, given this the magnitude of the game, this is 4th versus 5th. We have a game in hand. If we win our game in hand, we go ahead of them. They're still in the European competition as well against Ajax. There was a lot riding on this game. So I think he played too safe. He overthought it. But I don't necessarily think he made the wrong decision, because you can see by those stats, that is exactly probably what he wanted.
That's exactly what he wanted. The problem they weren't aggressive enough, and they had a little bit more fatigue. They did try and press. They pressed in certain areas. It wasn't committed enough for me. If I was them, I'd have thought, fucking hell, pretty good off going in.
Energy preservation. It seemed if we hadn't scored those 2 goals early on, you might have seen a different Villa. You might have just said, you know what, 60 minutes, get at them, make a sub, take one of the centre backs off, bring on a forward player. Did DRB start or did he come on?
No, he came off the bench.
Yeah, so like I said, that would have been an easy sub to make, centre back off for DRB. So I think he was trying to, you know, give Spurs as little time to get back into the game as possible. So yeah, but you know, football happens. 4 goals pop past them, and now they look like a bunch of idiots. So
on the flip side, right? You're at home against Spurs, who are 5th. Like you said, we had nothing on target, nothing shots, whatever. You're at home. You've had 30% possession at home, and you're supposed to be bang on fire, unbeaten, once or something all season. And you've had 5 shots.
Arsenal, they beat City, they beat a couple of teams.
Yeah. And they've had 5 shots, none on target, and 2 off target. And looking at that, sorry, sir. Looking at that, I was not worried for 1 second in that first half that Watkins or anyone was going to get behind Van de Ven or Romero. They just didn't create. They weren't given the opportunity. As much as how poor we were in terms of no shots or whatever, we played them like a fiddle. They just could not get any momentum. Or Watkins, I mean, they were getting so frustrated. So yes, a lot of negatives in the fact that we had no shots, none on target. But I think Postecoglou would have gone in at half-time thinking, well done, lads. That is fucking brilliant.
It is. It's fine margins, though, Sid, because I think Villa are one of the, if not the top team in the league, certainly one of the top teams at scoring goals within the 15 to 30-minute mark of the game. They've probably got the highest stats in what I've seen. So they were unlucky. If you look at it from that perspective, they didn't do what they would normally do in the first half of football. It would be interesting also to see what their stats were like against those bigger teams, i.e. the Man United. Sorry, Man United, they're not a team anymore. The Cities, Liverpools, Arsenals.
That was a sneak diss and a half.
It was a sneak, wasn't it? But it would be interesting to see if their stats in terms of their possession kind of pans out in the same way. I don't think they are a possession-based team against the really big teams. Certainly the little smaller teams, they can do that at Villa Park. But I'll be interested to see if they did exactly the same against Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City.
So first off, we kicked up towards the Paxton Road end. And then second half, we decided to kick on the south stand. And as always, stats change. 31% possession. We gave him an extra 1% in the second half. I felt sorry for him. And we had 69. Although I think it should have been a lot more, because once McGinn got sent off, I think we sort of took the foot off the pedal. They had 5 shots again. We had 8. They had 1 on target. We had 5, of which 4 were goals. They had none on target. We had 1 off target. Shots inside the box, 3. We had 6. Outside the box, 2. Passes, again, they had 134. We had 356, 93%. And touches in the opposite box, 7. And we had 17. So, I mean, all right, they went to that. probably majority of that was after they went down to 10 men. But it's a game of two halves, this one, absolutely, I think.
And if you look at it, really and truly,
yeah,
apart from the obviously McGinn getting sent off was big, but you know the possession stays the same.
Yeah, it's
not like we weren't, you know, in more control of the game. We just, I don't know, found our shooting boots. I guess you could say that, Sid.
Yeah, I'm still gonna. We were 2-0 up when McGinn got sent off, and we were in control of the game. But as we all know, football changes with goals. Had they scored a goal, which they had an opportunity, to score. Had it been 2-1 and McGinn hadn't got sent off, I don't think it would have been as comfortable. 100% different game. And they were playing it in a certain way that they wanted. They as you said, Darius, they could also transition in back into a back four if they wanted to. McGinn getting sent off effed all that up for them, because even if they wanted to go to a back four, which they did, they had to go 4-4-1. You know, so they weren't going to be as attacking because they still only had Ollie Watkins up front. Jodi came on and was kind of supporting them a little bit, but they also had to get back. And once we do what we do with the ball in terms of making that pitch wide, making that pitch long, it's a tough old game for anybody with 11 men, let alone 10. Yeah. So I can understand why we did that in the second half, but I don't care. We won 4-0.
100%.
100%. Giant Rabbit, for me, we were rubbish first half and Villa tired early in the second and couldn't take our constant waves of attacks. That's what Euro football does to you. We'd better get used to it next season.
Get used to it.
You know what? I also kind of, and I think that's what is worrying me slightly. We had a lot of injuries, and for me, the big standout for me when I watched that game was how important I always say how important, but the fullbacks for me, it's like, it's night and day. It is night and day. And I'm not trying to say that we have to go and spend big money on a backup fullback for each side, but we need to make sure that the profile of those fullbacks, this is where the scouting comes into play. You need to make sure that those, because we have to go and get a right back and a left back, in my opinion, both to back up Porro and Udogie. We have to make sure that they fit that profile perfectly, because it's just night and day. The chance creation is so much easier when the players are able to just interchange positions. And I credit those fullbacks a lot with the way we play and how we can play. And you know, maybe I wanted to ask this question: do you think Udogie was a bit smart in what he did, or do you think he actually felt that hit and thought that actually really hurt? Because when it looked like he got up, I thought he was about to go bang him in his jaw. He looked like he was angry. He looked like he was going to go up to McGinn's face, but. Yeah, in the end, he went down and McGinn got the red card. I don't know what you guys think about Udogie and what he did there.
I think initially he's been kicked. He's got up and he's thought, you know what, I'm going to give you some of this. Where's Romero? Right? And then he's looked at where the foul was committed, and he saw the bodyguard, the mafia, the Italian Don getting ready. Yeah. And then he thought, you know what, this is all under control. And then he thought, actually, it does hurt. So I think very, very clever the way he done it. He could have reacted, but I think this just proves now, under Postecoglou, the discipline and the reactions that our players are doing it. They're just keeping calm and letting the referee do the job. Because he probably thought, you know what, as soon as it happened, I said it's a red, because that was just blatant, absolute blatant.
Nasty
so I
bastard.
Think, fair play to him. And I think he done it how he needed to do it. He didn't need to get involved, and he just thought, you know what, I'll just take the foul, pretend that, well, not pretend, actually, I think he was quite hurt. What did you think of that one, Sam?
Couple of things in there for me. One, I think his initial reaction was his initial reaction. I think all of us, if you're not hurt and someone does that to you, your first initial reaction is, what the hell? And you're going to go up and do that. But then he thought, there's a couple of things I thought went through his head, maybe in this split second of time. One, had he been aggressive with McGinn would have still got sent off. He might have got a yellow card. Yeah. And remember, if he'd have got a yellow card, still being on the pitch, there's potentially could get a red card. He's already had that this season. That might have gone through his mind. The second thing that went through his mind is, oh shit. Oh, if McGinn, he's done that, he could get sent off. I've got to go. You know what I mean? It could have changed the whole thinking of the referee from that perspective. I still think McGinn would have got sent off. But you imagine, he gets clattered, doesn't look like he's hurt, gets up, starts doing all of this. They were doing that on the side anyway. McGinn would have got a red card. He might have got a yellow card. Somebody else might have got a yellow card. And then it puts us into a position of jeopardy, because 10 versus 11 to 10v10 away from home is different.
This is it. So overall, 31% Aston Villa. We had 69%. They had 10 shots. We had 9. 5 of which of ours were on target. They had 1 on target, 2 off target. We had 1 off target. 7 shots each inside the box. They had 3 outside and we had 2. 708 passes. Tottenham 91% accuracy. They had 303 at 79%. 21 touches in the opposite box for Aston Villa and we had 27. So playing away from home, we had we had more than double passes compared to them at home. So overall then, lads, in terms of these overall stats, if you're not looking at the first half and the second half, Darius, would you have been happy with them stats?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, are we excluding the scoreline in these stats, or are we including the scoreline? Because I think that's obviously the most important stat. When I look at those stats, if I didn't know what the scoreline was, I think I'd look at those stats and think, they were trying to catch us on the counter a lot. We were a little bit open at the back to concede more shots than we did, whatever. Yeah. But, we had majority of the ball. The shots that we did get off, we had half of our shots were on target. And then when you factor in the fact that, 4 of those 5 shots on target were goals, efficiency. And that's what I've been asking for from those forwards. We have forwards who have 3 of them, Richarlison, Johnson, and Werner, who all are a renowned history of not being efficient strikers, needing more than 3 or 4 attempts to get a goal. And, to see Werner come on and get his goal, Johnson's finish, I thought the keeper saved it into the top corner. I thought Emi Martinez saved it into the top corner. He put that roof of the net. That's a great finish from him.
Yeah.
And, Maddison's finish, great ball from Sarr. And then obviously Son's going to get his goal. So, when you look at it, context included, scoreline included, all of those stats included in the whole game, it was I'm not going to say perfect, but it was everything you could really ask for from an away performance. Big game. It's a huge game. I think the only biggest game for us, and obviously all these games are going to be big, but when we look at it now, that Arsenal game is going to be massive for us for maybe other reasons. But this game for our personal season was so massive because now it was either 8 or 2. And that's a big difference for me with 10 games to go. So now we're 2 points with a game in hand, and that game in hand is Chelsea. Don't know what Chelsea will turn up. We're looking like we might be able to get that driving seat back in our hands.
Do you mean Dragusin?
We're driving wheels. and shout out to Dragusin as well, by the way. I've been screaming. I knew Dragusin was good from the go. I knew he was gonna be fine from the go, and just to see him put in a solid performance for 40 minutes again. Now we know we've got a backup centre back who can actually perform, and he actually is a monster in the air as well. I think again, great scouting, great player. Want to see more of him, but again, don't care because our centre backs are fit. So
absolutely
no point subbing centre backs if there's no issue with them.
Absolutely. Overall, Sam, then would you agree with Darius? Then would you have been happy with that? And if you look at the scoreline, obviously,
you always have to add the scoreline to that because that gives it the context. Overall, when I looked at when we did the preview, I was saying it's going to be a tougher game than it turned out to be.
Yeah.
I thought a draw would have been a fair result on the basis of not knowing which teams were going to turn up, but based on what we've seen through the season. So at the end of the day, winning 4-0 with those stats, as you said, the clinicalness is always what we've been asking for. We've said the fact that teams are always going to have shots at us. I've taken that on board now. Whether they've had 10 shots, whether they've had 15, doesn't matter. If they've had 5 shots on target, 4 shots, 2, 1, doesn't matter. It's the goals. Now, if Vicario plays well, he saves a lot of them. He didn't have to make too many saves yesterday. We then took our chances. The goals are very good goals. Keeper didn't have much chance in any of them. That's efficiency.
Yeah. So we discussed the team before on the preview show, and I said Bentancur probably would start and Werner would start. Same team as last week, but he made the changes and he brought in Johnson and he brought in Papa Sarr. Simple question to you. Was that a masterclass in bringing both of them into the team yesterday?
As in Johnson and Sarr?
Yeah.
Sarr definitely, 100%. I said to you in the thingy, unless there was a reason why he was definitely injured, he has to play ahead of probably And I think you made the right call, probably ahead of Bentancur, because I think Bentancur still got some time to get back to. Basuma has a lot to prove. I think he got some way doing it yesterday. Although saying that, after the first 15 minutes we were dominating, and he then gives the ball away.
Yes.
Unforced error. Just give the ball away to one of their players in our third. That's got to stop. Unforced errors of that magnitude have got to stop, because it changed the game. The next 15 minutes, they were quite dominant, were Aston Villa. Anyway, going back to the team selection, yeah, I think it was the right one. I'm surprised Johnson started on that left-hand side, because we've always said he's not the most effective on the left. But to be fair to him, he had a good game.
Yeah. Darius, what did you think of Saw and Johnson? Do you think the two changes he made from last week were justified?
I don't even think it's. I think the Saar one's not a masterclass. I think that's our best midfield three. Some people, maybe even myself, was questioning if we had a better one, if we were waiting on players to get back to see a better iteration of our midfield. But clearly to me now, obviously, it's been obvious for a while, but clearly to me now, that's our best midfield three. Basuma, I agree with everything Sam said. It's hard for me to fault him and then sort of praise everybody else for playing risky, because that is just how we play. It is more the unforced errors and giving the ball away that he just needs to sort of get out of his game, and then he will be seen as, one of our best midfielders, because I really do think he's got the ball control, he's got the quality, he's got the ability. Sometimes that decision making isn't up there, and that maybe might just come with consistent game time, consistent performances. And yeah, in terms of Johnson, it doesn't surprise me that he's getting goals and assists now, because he's done it consistently. He's done well. He's surprised. I think he's surprised everyone. Obviously, some people will always be there to support him. It's his first season. He's 22. I think we all probably were a little bit harsh on him. Me, definitely. I'm speaking for myself now. I definitely probably was harsh on him, but I was always willing to give him a chance because of the talent that I knew he had and the age that he is. He's too young, and he's got too much raw talent to not produce or do something. So for me, we're seeing effectively, quote unquote, the worst of Brennan Johnson in a Spurs shirt, because as he gets used to his teammates and as he gets used to the system and as he plays more often, I think he'll only get better. And I mean, to say what, I can't remember exactly what his stats are. He's probably got 5 goals, 6 or 7 assists, maybe. It's impressive to see him do this well. So yeah, no, I'm happy. I think when you look at it, even with Richarlison fit, is this our strongest 11? To me, I think it is.
I think Son is better playing through the middle. I think
100%.
It gives us a hell of a lot more. He's, the way he pressures the defenders, the goalkeeper, his involvement as well. He likes to go wide if he needs to. He likes to bring players into the game. Yeah, there was a couple of times yesterday when I'm like, shoot, man, shoot. And he just didn't want to shoot. But then the way he put Werner in, Johnson. So, for me, I think you're right. I think on paper, this does look better. I mean, Werner coming off the bench, 7 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. Maddison admitted yesterday that he's still not 100%. He's coming now back to his fitness and he's loving every single game. I think Basuma's the same. Saw had a back problem, so we didn't know whether he was going to start or not. But obviously proved us all wrong yesterday. Ange did, or as you said, Sam, was he just hiding the fact that let's play games? He knew Saw was going to start all along.
I think he said that Sa's been his best midfielder, this season. So I think he was playing mind games. I think he knew Saw was going to play. It wasn't like a late fitness test, because the guy played fantastic.
Yeah. So, let's have a look. Where am I going? Right. Let's go through then. Obviously, we had Johnson's goal, then Van der Ven's injury, which we still don't know how bad it is. Dragusin came on, Bentancur came on, Højbjerg came on, Werner, goal. I was just going to say, lads, we can talk all day about the goals. Yeah? All day, every single goal. But all I want to say, and if you want to talk about the rest of the goals, you can do, Sam, but I've got to go in about 5 minutes. Give it some respect. Put some respect on that pass by Papa Saw. People need to put respect on that, because the way he got the ball and put that ball on a 6pence, 2pence, whatever you want to put it on for Maddison was world class. And if a certain Kevin De Bruyne put that ball in, they would have been waxing lyrical from now until kingdom come.
Any player that put that cross in, who was a wide player of any sort, as you said, had it been a Trent Alexander, had it been a Kevin De Bruyne, everybody would have said that is a. It's the fact that it's our midfielder who's 21 and he just popped out on the right and put in probably the ball of many. I've not seen a cross like that for a lot, because he did it. If you watch it, he kind of stumbled a little bit, got his balance back, and then whipped it in closer to the bloody byline than he was to the box. So that for me is just a proper quality cross. Proper quality.
It was
cross.
perfect. Literally, like you said, Sid, put it on his foot for him. I know Maddison had to stretch a tiny bit, but
yeah,
just over the defender's head and then onto your player's foot. Perfect.
This is it. And even the substitutions that he made. All right, Dragusin, we've all been saying he needs to come on, but unfortunately it was a forced substitution because Van der Ven injury. But I think he had a decent game. I think he was quite commanding, and he didn't look like somebody who was nervous. He looked like somebody who just came in. He's got a job to do. Let me do it. Højbjerg for that goal. What was that man doing? Not once.
Meg man, didn't he do a Megs on not somebody, or he done a some sort of shimmy?
Yeah,
and he got free. I was like, what's coming? Who's that? With you? And he done it again. He did it again.
He done it on the edge of the box when he got the ball, and then he progressed it forward, and then he done let's go left, and the Villa player went, come on then, let's go left, and he went, nah, I'm going right. And I'm like, wow. So you've got to give credit, and you know,
for me,
last couple of games when Højbjerg's come on off the bench, he's done a job. He's done a great job.
You know what it is, Sid? For me, I think he's accepted his position, his role in the team. He's accepted his position and role in the squad. And maybe he is going to move on in the summertime. But now he's got the right attitude. You know what? This is a decent team. If I get my opportunity, because when the sub was brought in, it was 84 minutes, I think it was. And I was thinking, this is a bit late. But then I remembered, obviously games go on so much longer. So they had an extra 10 minutes. So he had literally 15, maybe 16 minutes, which is decent enough time. Not those, but enough to make, differences in the game. So Werner getting his goal in that time, fantastic. I think they've done well to get what they did out of the game yesterday in terms of 4 goals.
Agree. Darius, anything to add on that one?
No, I think, like I said, I don't complain if we win. Even if there was reasons to complain, I have no reason to complain if we win, because 3 points at this time in the season is all that matters. Promises are important. I get that, but I couldn't give a shit if we got battered. If we got battered at Villa Park for 89 minutes and we scored a goal from a corner or we got a horrible penalty, I would not fault any single player, because at the end of the day, you got the 3 points. So for me, this is a bonus. Away from home, bonus. 4 goals, bonus. Clean sheet, bonus. Everything is a bonus. Timo Werner scoring, bonus. Yeah. Don't care what you say. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Wow.
Timo Werner, I'm telling you now, Timo Werner.
7 goals, 2 games, 7 games, 2 assists, 2 goals.
I'm not going to talk too much because he almost made me quit allegiances, but I'm still in allegiances with Timo. I have been since the Red Bull days. So
as my friends Pipes would say, a broken clock can still be right twice.
It's been right 4 times so far. So
there you go. And Ange has said he likes him, and he said
I'm telling you, I told you from January. 17 million is getting.
You've got to wrap up now, because I don't want to get into this Timo conversation with you two. I'm not having it. He's rubbish. He's just done all right.
Right. Andres Ostervan is saying here, the Villa win will mean nothing if we lose to Fulham away. So final thoughts, lads, because I've got to go, obviously, because Ramadan started and I've got to go to
Ramadan Kareem to you, by the way.
Thank you. So I've got to get ready to go mosque, and then tomorrow. Final thoughts then, lads, on the victory and what happens going forward. Starting with you, Darius.
Build on the victory. I think that's all I can really say. Build on the victory, build on the performance. We are away again to Fulham, so not an easy game again. So I'm just having the thoughts that not just Willian, but also Adama Traore both play, and Carlos. Does Carlos? Oh, he doesn't play for them anymore, does he? But Adama Traore and Willian, I don't want them to beat us. So yeah, continue on the performance from the weekend, and really and truly, I need Spurs to look like we're making progress in terms of everything we do on the pitch. We need to see sort of progression. As much as I say we need to get 3 points on the board, which is the first priority, I do like to see us, build on. It's all good, like you said, Sid. It's all good beating Villa. If you don't, go and beat Fulham, or if you don't show that, we actually are a serious team. Because I do think we're not fully serious yet. But we definitely have the foundations, and just sped his way through this build of a project. So I think he's a lot more ahead than we all think, and we just have to still be patient, I guess. But yeah, continue on. Every single game is important now.
I'll be quick. You just got to get the 3 points next game.
100%.
This is it. I agree. Get the 3 points at Fulham, and we've got a week's break after that, and then we build again. Hopefully everything gets back to normal, and then we go.
When are we playing Chelsea then?
They don't know yet. It's not confirmed yet.
I think it's going to be in the next couple. I think it's going to be before the April lot. If it's
it has
not,
to be. That's what I'm saying.
If they put it in April somewhere, we're going to have a real hard time in April.
We will wait and see. No, probably put it between Liverpool and Man City, or Arsenal and Man City.
they'll do some shit like that. Watch.
They really will.
You know what I mean? Right, lads. Thank you very much for your input. Thank you to everyone in the comment section. We've got over 70 people watching, and wherever you are, please, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel PRTV Spurs, which will be moving over to eventually, and Paxton Road TV. All I can say, went to Villa Park. We got the 3 points. Absolutely well. Got the 3 points. 2 points behind them now with a game in hand. We move onwards. We move forwards. Fulham away. Have a great week, everyone. Make sure you come and join us for the preview show on Friday, and there might be a talking points at some point this week, but keep a watch out on PRTV Spurs and Paxton Road TV. Sam will put something up, right?
Definitely.
Have a great evening, everyone, wherever you are. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Develop,